Hi. So I'm going to read paragraphs 6 to 11 of the introduction, and included in that will be an appendix to an extra note that he wrote in 1787 to paragraph 8. So, Paragraph 6. Fängt endlich der Schüler durch Anhörung guter Musiken an, einen etwas feineren Geschmack zu kriegen, so ekelt ihm vor seinen vorgeschriebenen Stücken. Glaubt, alle Klaviersachen sind von derselben Art. Folglich nimmt seine Zuflucht besonders zu Singearien, welche, wenn sie gut gesetzt sind und die Gelegenheit da ist, solche von guten Meistern singen zu hören, zur Bildung eines guten Geschmacks und zur Übung des guten Vortrags geschickt sind, aber nicht zur Formierung der Finger. Der Lehrmeister muss diesen Arien Gewalt tun und sie auf das Klavier setzen. Außer anderen daraus entstehenden Ungleichheiten leidet hier abermals die linke Hand, indem solche mehrenteils mit faulen oder gar Trommelbässen gesetzt sind, welche zu ihrer Absicht so sein müssten, aber beim Klavierspielen der linken Hand mehr Schaden als Nutzen bringen. Nach allem diesen verliert der Klavierspieler diesen besonderen Vorteil, welchen kein anderer Musikus hat, mit Leichtigkeit im Takte feste zu werden und dessen kleinsten Teilgen auf das genaueste zu bestimmen, indem in eigentlichen Klaviersachen so viele Rückungen, kleine Pausen und kurze Nachschläge vorkommen als in keinen anderen Kompositionen. Auf unserem Instrumente fallen dieses so schwere Taktteilgen zu erlernen besonders leichte, weil eine Hand der anderen zu Hilfe kommt. Folglich entsteht hieraus, unvermerkt, eine Festigkeit im Takte. And the appendix is: Ich weiß aus der Erfahrung, dass die geschwinde rückenden Noten und überhaupt die kleinen Pausen den taktfestesten und geschicktesten Instrumentisten viel zu tun machen. Sie kommen gemeiniglich zu spät, ungeachtet sie durch eine oder mehrere vorschlagende Stimmen dasselbe Hilfsmittel haben, welche der Klavierist mit seinen Händen hat. Diesem Letztern hingegen, wenn auch beim Klavier die linke Hand weglässt oder begleitet mit einem anderen Instrumente, sind dieses gar leichte Dinge, und wird, wenn im Tempo sicher ist, alle Zeit auf den Punkt eintreffen. Quanz lehrt sogar in seiner Anweisung zur Flöte, das oben erwähnte zu spät kommen, Seite 113, zum Zeichen, dass das rechte Eintreffen in diesem Falle fast unmöglich ist und wählt also aus zweien Übeln das kleinste. Anstatt dieser kriegt der Schüler durch oben angeführte Bässe eine steife linke Hand, in dem kaum zu glauben steht, was das geschwinde Anschlagen eines Tons ohne Abwechselung der Finger den Händen für Schaden tut. Mancher hatte schon mit seinem Nachteil durch ein vieljähriges, fleißiges Generalbachspiel erfahren, als bei welchem oft beide Hände, besonders aber die linke, solche geschwinde Noten durch beständige Verdoppelung des Grundtones vorzutragen haben. Bei dieser Steife der linken Hand sucht der Meister es bei der rechten wieder einzubringen, indem seine Schüler, besonders die Adagio unrührendesten Stellen, dem guten Geschmack zu noch mehrerem Ekel, aufs reichlichste mit lieblichen Trillerchen verbrämen lehret. Oft wird mit alten Schulmeistermanieren, oft mit herausgestolperten und zur Unzeit angebrachten Laufern, wobei die Finger zuweilen den Koller zu kriegen scheinen, abgewechselt. Bevor wir diesen Fehlern durch gegründete Vorschriften abzuhelfen suchen, müssen wir noch etwas von dem Instrumente sagen. Man hat außer vielen Arten der Klaviere, welche teils wegen ihrer Mängel unbekannt geblieben, teils noch nicht überall eingeführt sind, hauptsächlich zwei Arten, nämlich die Flügel- und Klavichorde, welche bisher den meisten Beifall erhalten haben. Jene braucht man insgemein zu starken Musiken, diese zum Alleinspielen. Die neueren Fortepiano, wenn sie dauerhaft und gut gearbeitet sind, haben viele Vorzüge. Ungeachtet ihrer Traktierung besonders und nicht ohne Schwierigkeit ausstudiert werden muss. Sie tun gut beim Alleinspielen und bei einer nicht gar zu stark gesetzten Musik. Ich glaube aber doch, dass ein gutes Klavichord, ausgenommen dass es einen schwächeren Ton hat, alle Schönheiten mit jenem gemein und überdem noch die Bebung und das Tragen der Tone voraus hat, weil ich nach dem Anschlage nach jeder Note einen Druck geben kann. Das Klavichord ist also das Instrument, worauf man einen Klavieristen aufs genaueste zu beurteilen fähig ist. Yeah, so Bach really loved his teachers, didn't he? There was just something I wanted to say. When you think about that, what he's describing with the masters or the teachers, that they, with the stiffness in the left hand, that they try to compensate it with the right by having it play lots of trills, having the pupil play lots of trills, adorn especially the adagio, and moving places to the detriment of good taste, adorning it with lots of trills and alternating that with runs that are untimely and appear that that the fingers fly off into a rage. And again, you can think that he's talking about teachers that are not, more remote or out of touch or less qualified. But when you think of it, adorning, playing lots of trills and introducing runs, and if the fingers seem to fly off into a rage, it means the runs it's kind of an aggressive approach to the music and to piano playing. And those teachers that get their pupils to play lots of trills to cover up the fact that the left hand is completely stiff and incapable of playing. They have no fear of trills and no fear of runs and all those things and old schoolmaster ornaments. Whereas when you think of a teacher who'd be in a remote village, let's say, teaching in their living room, not belonging to the system, not a university professor, they would be rather scared, or they'd rather avoid trills and runs and all those difficult things and stick to just simple notes. And so you could probably think that Bach is talking, those teachers he's talking about are the equivalent of university professors today. And like I said, it's an aggressive way to compensate for the stiffness. And the trommel Besse that he talks about, I mentioned this before, but he means Bach is talking about notes that are repeated in the left hand. And at the end of chapter 9, Bach includes a footnote, a long passage where he talks to people playing figured bass, and he talks about the stiffness. And I didn't include that because it's very long, and with what I have provided in that video of episode 4, The Cause Attention, you will find a way, you will find out from that a way to avoid tension. And while what Bach says is certainly true, that the repeating a note without changing the finger will cause tension, that's definitely true. If you are pressing the key though correctly, and you'll see that in the episode 2 as well, about finger position, and where I play to demonstrate the repeated note. And if you try that, pressing the key correctly and incorrectly, you'll notice a complete difference at the speed at which the tension starts to set in. And what Bach says in those footnotes is that he's talking about 8 notes or quavers in a fast tempo, or 16 notes or semiquavers in a moderate tempo. And so it's the repetition of these notes, and in general, in the figured bass, when you're playing it, you'd double the notes, the bass notes of the chord, or you could be playing the entire chord in both hands and repeating that, and where there's no possibility alternating the finger. And you can have passages of that in the music in a large ensemble, strongly set, when the music is strongly set, so for lots of instruments. And he says in that how impossible to try that, to try playing those things till your arms are tired, and then try to play a bass line that has a melody to it, and how impossible it is to bring that out in a round way, this way that he keeps referring to, roundness. And so with what's in those videos, you can avoid, like, if you look at those videos and try what I say, you can avoid a lot. And in something like the Moonlight Sonata, for example, in the third movement, the exposition, it's very easy to kind of feel the stiffness, that tension, before you even get to the end of that. And while the university professors and all will, aside from all the slow practice you're meant to do and metronome work to avoid tension and playing with a loose wrist and all that sort of stuff, what they'll do is they won't try to compensate by, introducing trills into the right hand or runs. But what they will do is adjust the volume, and they'll say, to play louder with the right, to cover up let the left hand recover, play the left hand quietly so it can recover from that stiffness. And when like with those demonstrations, I'm showing you them so you can know what to expect in your own playing when you try what I'm sharing. And you can see from that, well, I don't know if you can see from it, but I experience zero tension when I play that. And not only do I experience zero tension, if you look at that, if your screen is bigger, if you're looking at it on a bigger screen, like not on a phone but on something else, and if you look at the piano, you might notice that in places that the whole thing shakes. There's some shaking going on. And that just shows the kind of the power these discoveries bring. And yet there is no harshness to the sound. It's round. The roundness is there that Bach is talking about. So, and I'm not blowing my own horn with that. It's so you can see what you can expect in your own playing. And there was something else, two more things I wanted to say, one very short, and the other one is when Bach talks about the security in the beat, and how this advantage, it's an advantage that piano players have, the way one hand helps the other. And I would refer you to those videos, episode 3, another characteristic of virtuosity, and episode 2, finger position, and a key characteristic of virtuosity. And that in them, that tapping into that profound rhythm, what I was talking about, that is exactly what Bach is talking about here in paragraph 8. It's exactly that. And nobody told, in all my education, nobody told me about the way the hands are perfectly synchronized and that exists. I discovered that on my own. So the discoveries I'm sharing, they're exclusive, because, and I don't think it's not that nobody knows, but the other thing, there are people who don't know, the vast majority don't know, and the vast majority of people never tap into that potential. But the ones that do know, it's too good to share. They keep it a secret because it makes them better than you. And I'm not keeping it a secret, I'm sharing it. So I would urge you to look at those videos and try it out. Make those discoveries yourself and let me know how they worked. Because those videos, until you start discovering virtuosity for yourself, those videos are incomplete. They're half finished. And Bach says, that the player with the stiffness, they lose that. And the stiffness comes from incorrect playing as much as it comes from repeating the same note without changing the finger. And so you're being cut off from that potential by the wrong instructions. And you're trying to achieve it in an artificial way through metronome work, counting out loud. And the last thing I wanted to say is that at the end, when he talks about the clavichord and how that is the way one can most accurately judge a pianist, that there's definitely food for thought there. And he's going to talk in the next video, in the next paragraphs that I read out, he'll talk more about that. And it could be quite relevant and a clue to, there could be quite a significance to his observations or his thoughts regarding that. So that'll be on the next episode of Jackanory. Yeah. So that's it. I don't want to make the video too long. I'll see you on the next one. And if you'd like me to read and translate that footnote, leave a comment telling me to do so, and I probably will. Yeah. Thanks. Bye.